Hello. I wanted to do a video today about anxiety. Anybody who is suffering with anxiety, this is for you. But also, if you know anybody who's suffering with anxiety, I would appreciate it if you shared this video for them. Right now, in this time that we're living in, it's a breeding ground for anxiety. Anxiety plays havoc when there is a great sense of uncertainty, when there's fear, and of course when there's time with no distraction. So obviously for a lot of people at the moment who may or may not be back at work, there's a lot of time to think about these things that we're perhaps fearing, or even thinking about going back to work, thinking about things that will happen in the future. As I say, having that time to think is what breeds the anxiety. We get worked up over it. I think one of the other reasons that this is particularly a big issue now for a lot of people is because we've been in lockdown now for quite a long period of time, and naturally people have gotten to a place of mass comfort in a sense. Although it's not a comfortable situation because of the uncertainty, a lot of people have got very comfortable in the sense of not having to go to work. Okay, so for example, when we're normally working day to day, every day, we might get up one day, we don't want to go to work, but we still have to, and we make ourselves. And so when life is normal, we get used to being uncomfortable day in, day out. I don't want to have to go to work, but I go. I don't want to have to make that phone call today, but I'll do it. And there is a consistency of discomfort that we put ourselves through on a daily basis when life is normal. But since lockdown, that's all changed, and we've been able to stay in our pajamas all day, watch box sets all day, and not make the anxious phone call, and we've essentially got used to not stretching our discomfort zones. And unfortunately, the fact is life is discomfort. So this is what breeds anxiety as well, because we're ultra comfortable now. We haven't got to go out, we haven't got to see anyone, we haven't really got to put ourselves through much discomfort. And this, of course, makes us... So let me give you another analogy, okay? If you've been down the gym practicing, doing reps, building up your strength, or if you'd been going for runs and you built up your running, but then all of a sudden you stopped running, you stopped training, your muscles will get weaker, it would be harder to get back. And this is what's happening with our comfort zones. So one of the things that I would suggest from my experience, because I still personally suffer with anxiety on a daily, probably almost daily basis. It's something I've suffered with since I can remember, since I was a child. Funny, I didn't realise that until I actually learned what anxiety was when I was, probably in my 20s. When I realised, what I realised was that I'd been anxious most of my life. The difference is now I have tools and techniques to deal with it, and I'm very aware of it, which is a big part of this, is having the awareness to realise you're anxious. Because then when you realise it, oh, I'm feeling anxious, now I can make steps to do something about it. Versus a lot of people feel anxious all day, they're having all the signs and symptoms, and then they sort of realise it maybe at night time. It's too late, you've just now been anxious all day. So one of the things is to start training your discomfort zone now. By doing that, you're being proactive in the steps leading forward to what life will be like. So it can be something as simple as, if you're getting up at 9 o'clock, I'm going to get up at 8:45. Or little things like, for example, I do this every day, turn the shower on cold and see how long you can stay underneath it for. It could be challenging yourself to go for a walk today if you're not walking at all, or an extra long walk if you're already walking. You decide on what the discomfort is to you, but if you make it too much, you're not going to do it. If you make it incremental, if it's step by step, then you will follow it. And as you do, like in anything, you will build confidence. You'll be proud and pleased with yourself, and that leads to doing more, and that's momentum. And as we gain momentum, we get back to embracing a level of discomfort to the point that we don't even see it as discomfort. That's one way, which can proactively take it away. But then if you want advice on dealing with anxiety in the moment when you've become aware, one of the things that helps me is to literally ask myself the question. And you can say it out loud. I tend to do it in my head, but I don't think it matters. The point is you say, oh, okay, where am I feeling it? Pinpoint where it is. It's usually in the stomach somewhere. And then ask yourself, why am I feeling anxious today? What is it I'm either thinking about in the past or dwelling on in the future? What am I thinking about in the future? Ask yourself the question. It might not come to you straight away, but believe it or not, our brains are pretty clever in that it will find the answer if you ask the question. And then when you realise that, when you say, okay, oh right, I'm thinking about work, going back to work, then you can start to rationalise the situation and say, well, okay, there's not much I can do about it now, or you can think about what it means and write some stuff down. But there's a therapy in doing that, in facing it. Okay, when you actually consider what it is, it doesn't have so much power over you. Okay, it's the same thing as what they teach in meditation. If you have an itch, a thought like that, an anxious thought is like having an itch. And all the while you don't scratch that itch, it continues to niggle at you. I'm not saying scratch itches, going off the point here. What they teach in meditation is, because obviously we don't want to be itching while we're meditating, if you're feeling an itch, you focus on it. You focus on the itch. You literally, where's that itching? How's that feeling? And it takes its power away. And then, of course, just like thoughts, there'll be another itch over here. And it's consistent. Thoughts, itches, this is how we are as humans. And when we learn the tools to then start facing those thoughts that we don't have, let them in, just let it in, okay? Because if you don't, it will keep niggling at you. And it's the same with anxiety. So ask yourself the question, why am I feeling anxious? Writing things down can be helpful as well. Some people like to think about, but once you've written it down, it's literally out of your head. And once it's out of your head, again, it can bugger off and let something else in. Meditation is very, very good for me. And again, like they teach in meditation, really, the power in meditation is not just going, oh, I feel anxious today, I'll meditate. The strength and power that it gives you comes from practicing daily, consistently, or at least weekly. And then, of course, the reward comes not from the fact that I'll meditate today when I feel anxious. The reward is you feel less anxious because of the practice you've been doing in terms of meditation. You're more aware, you're more equipped to deal with it. And as a result, anxiety doesn't happen so much. Okay? There's many other ways as well to combat this, and that's getting out of your mind and into your body. So for some people, that can be doing sports, going for a run, doing some yoga, doing a workout. Think about it. When you're, for example, you're doing a workout and you're stretching or something and it's, you're feeling the muscles fatigue, you're thinking about that. You're not thinking about those thoughts in the future or the past. So having these ways that you get out of your head are very, very important, because if you don't have proactive ways of getting out of your head, dealing with thoughts, you're going to turn to toxic ways. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I don't do these. I do these. But I do them habitually less because I'm learning new skills that I can use rather than old skills. So I'm talking about drinking, drugs, eating, box sets. they're distractions that yeah, I'm sure, you know, to a level people enjoy all these things, but let's be honest, how many of us enjoy it in balance? We largely do it to escape, for a feeling. We want to feel a certain way. Whereas if you can essentially, through other ways, become more internally peaceful, which I know sounds airy-fairy, but it's true, it's possible, then you feel less need for other toxic distractions. And I'm not saying it's all toxic and anyone who watches a box set is bad. It's not the case. Please don't misread what I'm saying. Like, we watch box sets, all right, and stuff. It's just to the level and the degree that we do these things. As I say, look, if you're happy, if you're not anxious, if your life is balanced and you're feeling awesome, then of course this is not for you. It doesn't apply to you. So if that's the case, it's quite likely you are getting a bit red in the head, okay? But I'm talking to people who are anxious or perhaps struggling with thoughts. So, yeah, I imagine that's quite a lot of people. Please share this video or tag friends who you feel could benefit from these tools that I've shared, and I hope everybody is feeling well and doing the best they can, and I think that's a big thing to remember. Just do the best you can. Don't beat yourself up. Don't put yourself under too much pressure. Make it step by step by step. At the same time, it does require you to do something. You have to be proactive, and the more that you do now, the easier it's going to be in the future, because you would have stretched up to going back to life, and the less anxiety you will feel. So ultimately, it is down to the work you put in now as to how anxious you feel in the future. It's all on you, I'm afraid. So take care. Bye-bye.